is up, YouTube? Oh my god, today is the 17th of September. I hope it is. I didn't check the calendar. Forgive me if it isn't. It's actually the 1-year anniversary of Grand Theft Auto 5 Online Edition. Not that part. Just Grand Theft Auto 5. Holy fuck, a year, guys. Oh my god, this game has changed YouTube, the landscape of it so much. The game was absolutely astounding when it came out. And I'm going to share my Grand Theft Auto 5 Day 1 story. This takes us back 365 days exactly to this day in 2013. And I recall it being a Monday, basically. Well, no, fuck, it wasn't. It was actually a Tuesday when it got released, but we're going to the Monday before it. We're going to midnight launch. Shit's happening. And I'll start it off with my Monday schedule was completely fucked, if I recall correctly. We had an 8:30 a.m. class that day. I am not a morning person naturally. Like, I like being awake at night and sleeping during parts of the day. My sleep schedule sometimes goes from a whole 8-hour chunk that people normally get to broken up into segmented parts, like 4 hours here and maybe 3 or 4 hours in another part, which is completely fucked. And it would just change every day. College, well, with college, the classes are in different areas and different time slots, so my schedule would constantly shift like a transmission. Just terrible for your brain and your whole functioning, but I managed to make it work. So 8:30 class, I remember being really tired. I needed a coffee or 3 to get through the morning, and we had class until the afternoon, stacked throughout the day in various different classrooms, learning about various different things. And once class was over, I remember everyone was hyped for Grand Theft Auto 5. We were all talking about who's going to the midnight launch tonight. I, unfortunately, had to tell them my super secret plans. I actually didn't go to the midnight launch. Well, I did, but I didn't. Shit went off the tracks, okay? The train derailed. What happened was my friends had all gotten pre-orders for their version of the game. They were all stoked to go to midnight release, and there's only a handful of game stores in my town that were doing the midnight launch, and most of them got that at the same store. Thankfully, I learned this out the hard way. What had happened was I didn't get the fucking pre-order. You know what that's like? I just don't believe in pre-orders. I know all my friends are like, you're a fucking idiot. You are retarded. Jimbo, why didn't you get the fucking pre-order? You are the dumbest person ever. And shit like that. Because they were all getting it at midnight. And I had to come up with a little scheme on how I was going to go get this game that I wanted, that I waited, that I knew was going to be absolutely amazing. I called it the COD Killer a year and a little bit more ago, before GTA 5 was released. I was right, wasn't I? And I believed in that hype sincerely. So, my friends were all going to midnight launch, and I had to quickly assemble my passport and stuff together. Thankfully, well, I'll preface this. Canada itself, if you're from Canada, I know I am, what up? There is no 24-hour stores that sell video games like Walmart, right? Walmart in the States, if you find a supercenter or whatever, Walmart has numerous locations that sell video games and a whole assortment of shit 24 hours a day. You can go there any time of the day and get whatever you want. That's the beauty of American Walmart. Canada Walmart has a strict, we're closed at 10, get the fuck out policy. And that's with most stores in Canada, unfortunately, which doesn't bode well for people who are on nocturnal schedules such as myself. So I was a little more forthright in my thinking, I guess. And I decided I'm going to jet across the border in my car and try to get Grand Theft Auto 5. What an adventure it was. I started off ready to go. It was before midnight. I had booked like at least an hour to 2 hours before midnight. 10 o'clock, I'm leaving. I left my house and I think, holy shit, I better clean my car. I was like, I wasn't sure because I have a used car that I purchased, but I wasn't sure. You never know. Like, the people you buy shit off of, if they had illegal stuff in it. So I went and I started washing my car and cleaning it out. So that took like a whole hour. Got all these Armor All wipes, wiped it down. I found a few stems and seeds in my car. That would have been very problematic explaining that if I had to cross. Thankfully, I disposed of them immediately. They weren't mine. They were probably from the previous owner or owners who owned this car before them. I was sketched out. I was glad that I cleaned my car. And then the next thing that happened was me going to McDonald's, grabbing a quick coffee for the road. And I ran into one of my friends. He was like, "Hey, you getting GTA 5, man?" Oh. And he rubbed it in my face that he had a pre-order. We ran into each other in the parking lot. He's like, "Why are you going to the States?" And the son of a bitch showed off his pre-order to all of us. All of his friends had pre-orders, and I was the only one who didn't. And I was like, well, I'll see if I can get it before you guys. Fuck you. And I booked it onto the highway and found my cutoff after a while to get to the U.S. Thankfully, at around like the middle of the night, no one's crossing over into the US. It was just me. It was sketchy as fuck because I've never gone across this crossing before. And I wasn't quite sure what to do. Like, there's all these signs that you saying where to go, and I'm trying to read it, so I have to stop, clearly. And then the guy is just dressed in like army fucking gear, and he's got a gun, and he's like, "What are you doing?" "Yeah, green means go, son." And I'm like, "I'm so sorry, officer. I was a nervous wreck, and I was just freaking out." I was like, no, I'm just getting a video game in the US. Yeah, that didn't seem sketchy at all. He searched my car. He's like, "You're not bringing any illegal goods into the United States of America, are you, son? Are you bringing any weapons in?" He must have thought I was in a gang or something. My car got searched at the border looking for stuff. All I have in the back, in the trunk, was some camera equipment and also textbooks from college. So, like, it corroborated my story. Eventually, they let me through. And now I'm in the middle of America. And at a few crossings, usually there's just unadulterated wilderness for miles and miles on end. This instance was one of that. There was no towns. I was just driving down the highway. I'm like, oh, fuck. Just a little bit nervous. I don't want to get arrested if I'm speeding. I don't know if I'm speeding. And then I check and I'm like, I'm going Canadian speeds. I'm going slow. Eventually, I adapt to the conditions and start driving as an American. I strolled in casually to this massive Walmart, 24 hours. The biggest thing I've ever seen. I've been to numerous Walmarts in my life, all throughout Canada, and this was the hugest Walmart I've ever been to in my entire life. In my existence as a person, the biggest Walmart I've ever been to was in the United States of America. This wasn't even the biggest in America. This was just like an average one that was open 24 hours a day. Roll in, and I see, locked up in the case, no Grand Theft Auto 5. I see that the hooks are there with the Grand Theft Auto 5 tag, and I'm freaking out again. I'm like, oh shit. They sold out. I missed the midnight event. This is done. It's over. They ran out of copies. Fuck! Why didn't you pre-order it, Jimbo? Why didn't you pre-order it? And so I'm freaking out a little bit, and no one is around the electronics counter. And it dawned on me, I could probably just grab the keys and find a copy. And I looked at the drawer, saw the keys were there. I'm thinking it. I might just do it. And then an employee comes out of nowhere. I'm like, oh, hey, friend. Do you know where to get Grand Theft Auto 5? I really want to buy it. And there was no trouble at all. They simply opened up the lower drawer and there were stacks of GTA 5. Just massive stacks of them inside the cupboard. I don't know how massive a stack inside a cupboard can be when I say it like that, but the cupboard was literally filled with Grand Theft Auto 5 copies. No one came to this Walmart. They all went to like GameStop or Best Buy to do their midnight release. I went to fucking Walmart. You just walk in. Of course they're going to have enough copies. My mind was right. The plan had worked. Mind you, around this time, it was way past midnight. We're into day 2 now. And so I picked up my copy of Grand Theft Auto 5, paid with my American currency. Just dropped that all onto the counter. Like, I don't even know how to get back home now. I got my game. I'm traveling in the middle of the night. The only person on the highway. It's absolutely frightening a little bit. Not quite, but, you know, it's a different experience. Going to a different country and getting a video game. And that was how far I was willing to take it to get Grand Theft Auto 5. And the next little phase of dramaticness came when I had to cross the border again. Because I was like, do I have to declare this shit or what? Because Canada has tax laws. I don't know if you know this. If you cross the border with stuff, you usually have to pay a duty on it. Because stuff in Canada costs a lot more than stuff in the US. I don't know why that is. Shit's a little fucked. But it is. So I bought this game for probably a little bit cheaper than I could get in Canada. Probably like $20 cheaper than I can get it in Canada. And that wasn't one of the factors. I had enough money. It didn't bother me paying Canadian money. It's just I didn't want to do the midnight release bullshit. And I thought this would be an epic adventure. And it kind of was. And then I just bluntly told the Canadian border agent, I was like, hey, I went to go get GTA 5. He's like, that's getting released today? What the hell? I thought that was coming out in like a month or two. I was like, no, it came out tonight. You can get it right now. He's like, can I see it? I'm like, yeah, here you go. And he grabbed it from me and he just stared at it for like 10 minutes. And I was like, oh, he's going to keep that, isn't he? That son of a bitch. And then he told a little story how he's going to give it to his nephew when he buys a copy and one for himself. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then he gave me my copy back and he's like, go on, get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your trip. And so I get home and now it's well into the morning. We're talking it's like 4 a.m. now. After all this trip has been done, I could have gone to the midnight release and gotten back in maybe an hour, 2 hours. But this whole journey took a lot longer. A lot more prep had to go into it with the cleaning of the car and such that derailed the timeliness and crossing and getting searched and all that bullshit. But you know what? In the end, it was worth it because Grand Theft Auto 5 was one of the best games I played. And I just wanted to commemorate this whole 1 year anniversary of this game by telling this epic journey of how I came into getting Grand Theft Auto 5 in my hands. And of course, the next day there was school. I have school every day when I was in school. I had school every day except Fridays. And what I decided was I'm going to take the whole fucking week off. And I did. I took the whole week off and played Grand Theft Auto 5 and enjoyed that game because it was worth it. And school at that point can wait because I'd gone through all this shit to get this game. It made it even more sweeter playing the campaign. Anyway, that was just a little story. Hope you guys found it a little bit fun. You can like or share. You don't have to. Do whatever you want. And I hope you guys are enjoying the 1 year anniversary of Grand Theft Auto 5. See y'all in the next video.